So if a child, for example, who is not Irish and maybe is ethnically different, is assaulted, let's say, on the street, the message that child takes is that they're not welcome, that they're different, that they're othered, that they are not safe or welcome in this community. That has a deep-seated psychological impact on that child. And that is something that's recognised, by the way, in the courts in terms of it being an aggravating factor at sentence, and it is something that is recognised in our criminal courts widely. I've never heard that view, in fact, being disputed before. The notion that somebody...
Point of information?
Sorry.
I didn't dispute that view today, that judges have latitude in this area.
No, what you disputed, Senator Mullen, is that there's no difference between, let's say, a child born in Africa who is ethnically African, who comes to this country and is assaulted in the course of a hate crime and called names and othered and essentially told that they're not welcome, and a child who is assaulted because somebody doesn't like that child's father. There is a fundamental difference between those two things. It is so fundamental, in fact, that this House and the other House has spent a great deal of time passing an extensive piece of legislation to recognise the fact that that offence is markedly different in character and, perhaps most importantly, in the effect that it has on the victim of that crime. And I have never heard anybody in the law courts or in these houses actually dispute that fact, other than yourself, Senator Mullen, who stood up today and essentially said the same thing. And he talks about the fact that there is a tiering of victimhood. Well, I have news for you, Senator Mullen. Every single crime is different. Every offender is different and every victim is different. And the effect on every one of them is different. So, of course, there are tiers. And if you're somebody, for example, who's a victim of domestic violence and assault at home by your partner, that is completely different to somebody who's randomly assaulted on the street by somebody coming out of a pub. They are different. You can call them tiers, you can call them differences, but it is entirely appropriate that the law would recognise that one is more serious on the other because it has a profounder effect, if I can use that term, or a more profound effect on the victim. That is the reality of the criminal law. That is the reality of the way the courts approach it, and it's the reality of what we are doing in this law, is trying to recognise the fact that crimes do have different effects on people, and that is something that must be taken into consideration.